Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Nar from the Nar Report. Back today with another episode. This is episode 15 of the Nar Report. And I just want to say thank y'all for all the love and support on all of my social media platforms on YouTube. The subscribers are growing every day. Views are going up. Instagram and TikTok, I gained a lot of followers. I just want to say thank y'all very much. And in today's episode, I'll talk about a couple things. The Georgia Tech and Georgia game from this past weekend. Georgia wins in 8 overtimes in a thriller. The NFL week 13, just ended last night with the Broncos and the Browns. I'll talk about that. And I'll give y'all my week 14 NFL predictions. Let's get into it. Starting off with the Georgia Tech and Georgia game. Georgia wins 44-42 in 8 overtimes. Ever since I've been watching college football, I never witnessed 8 overtimes. Like, wow. That game was intense. Georgia was down 20-6 and came back, sent it to overtime, and won it 44-22. And then at the end of those overtimes, it was just whoever gets a 2-point conversion wins the game. And Georgia Tech got that 2-point conversion. Before Georgia got that 2-point conversion, it was a lot of back and forth. Defense playing great. Offense was doing great. Heading into overtime. But the Bulldogs came into the 8th overtime and won it. And that boosted their college football playoff chances higher because of that game. Because if they would have lost, then their playoff chances would have seen. But I'll talk more about the playoff chances and the SEC championship game this weekend between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Texas Longhorns. And that's it for Georgia Tech and Georgia. What a game by both of those teams. I love what I've seen from the offense and the defense. Georgia Tech, you was up 20-6 with an upset, but Georgia came back and beat you in 8 overtimes, which is crazy. I never witnessed 8 overtimes. Like, that was crazy. But that is a game to remember. And that's it for college football. Now we move to the NFL. We're switching gears to the NFL. Week 13 of the NFL season wrapped up last night with the Broncos beating the Browns 34-32. As I do, I'll explain to that at the end of the show. Because at first, I give out all of the games, like from Thursday night to Sunday night, then Monday night. All right. Now let's go to Thursday night. First of all, I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving, watching some good football, and spend some time with your family and eat very good. Let's start off with the first game, the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. Lions win 23-20 in Detroit. Lions winning their first home game since 2016. Let's talk about it. Jared Goff is him. He had an amazing game. The Lions are the best team in the NFL. Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown is the best quarterback and wide receiver duo in the league. And they got the best running back duo in the league in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. But let's go right to the end. Bears down 3. They need a field goal to tie it. What happens? Caleb Williams gets sacked on second down. Clock's running. They had 30 seconds to get together, and they waste all that time. The Bears had a timeout. Why won't you take the timeout? Because I was like, call the timeout. And when I seen that clock rolling, I was like, y'all just got to go for a Hail Mary. But what happens, though? Kayla hikes the ball short in the end zone, Lions win, and the Bears fired their head coach, Matt Eberflus, the day after the game. So I knew he was going to get fired, because the Bears 4-2, now they're 4-8. I'm telling y'all, I say this every week. It's the Hail Mary in Washington. They can't get that out of their heads. Let's talk about the Lions for a second. Lions, Jared Goff, he had a good game. 21 for 34 for completion, threw for 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Both running backs had a good game, even though they didn't get into the end zone. But that's the best running back duo in the league. And for the Bears, Caleb Williams, he had an okay game, but not as Bad it was 20 for 39 for completion, threw for 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Caleb Williams played great, but it wasn't enough for the Chicago Bears to get the win. And that's it for the Lions and Bears. Lions win 23-20. Watch out for the Lions because they might win the Super Bowl this year. Moving on to the next game in Dallas, we got the Cowboys beating the Giants 27-20. Cowboys finally get their first home win of the season. Congratulations to the Dallas Cowboys. You done finally won your first home game of the season since like 1923. I'm just messing with y'all. It was 2023 last time they won a home game. But let's talk about it. Cooper Rush, good game. 21 for 36 for completion, threw for 195 yards, 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions. Offense for the Cowboys was amazing. CeeDee Lamb, he had a good game. Looking at his stats right now, CeeDee Lamb had 6 targets, 2 receptions for 39 yards and 0 touchdowns. Offense was great. The defense was phenomenal for the Cowboys. And the Cowboys are 5-7 this season. As people say, they're still alive for the playoffs, but they're not making the playoffs. And the only way they'll make the playoffs is if they win out and get some help. That's the only way. But they might finish 9-8. And for the Giants, ain't nothing much to say. Those boys suck. All right. So that's it for the Cowboys and Giants. Cowboys win 27-20. Moving on to our last Thanksgiving game, we had the Green Bay Packers defeating the Miami Dolphins. Packers win 30-17 at Lambeau Field in the snow. Jordan Love, great game, 21 for 28 for completion, threw for 274 yards, 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Green Bay offense is looking very good. The Packers, by playoff time, could be very dangerous. They got a good offense, a good defense. Jordan Love is an amazing quarterback. Ever since he came back from injury, has been playing like a top 5 quarterback in the league. They got a great running back in Josh Jacobs, who is averaging a touchdown every game. And their defense is very solid, too. And before the season started, I kind of had the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game. That was my actual NFC Championship matchup, Green Bay and Detroit. But this year, it might be Detroit and Philadelphia. And I'll talk about the rest of that stuff by the end of the show. But anyways, though, Packers offense, amazing. Defense was good. Let's talk about the Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa, he had a pretty good game. 37 for 46 for completion, threw for 365 yards, 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. But here's the thing about the Dolphins. They don't play good in the cold, okay? When the Dolphins play in the cold, they're not a good team, all right? It don't matter how good they play or how poorly they play. The Dolphins are not, well, they are an outdoor team, but they just can't play in the cold. And it's crazy because I picked them to win this game, but, you know, it was snowing, so I just kind of figure out, yeah, Green Bay got this one. And that's it. Packers win 30-17 at home and stay in contention for the NFC North title. Moving on to the next game, we had a Black Friday game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. Chiefs win 19-17 against the Raiders. How do the Chiefs keep winning these games? How? Like, these boys should not be 11-1. They should have at least 5 losses. They should be 8-5 right now. But the Chiefs are the Chiefs, and the Bills, as of right now, the way the Chiefs playing, the Bills should be the number 1 seed right now. But the Chiefs, they're going to find ways to win games. Let's talk about it. Patrick Mahomes, good game. 26 for 46 for completion, threw for 306 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. Chiefs offense played great. The defense was solid. Raiders, you had a chance at the end to beat the Chiefs with the game-winning field goal. What happens on third down? They don't call him not paying attention. The center hikes the ball, fumbles the football, game over, Chiefs win. And another thing I like to point out on why the Raiders lost, the kicker missed about 2 field goals, which could have won them the game. But you got to make your kicks if you're the kicker. And for the Raiders, they played pretty good, though. And the Raiders and Chiefs always have a good game. They always keep it close, and no matter what the record is, the Chiefs could be 15-0, and the Raiders could have about 2 or 3 wins, and it's still a very close game because these two teams know each other very well. Let's look at the stats for Aiden O'Connell. He had a good game, 23 for 35 for completion, threw for 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And one player I like to point out, Brock Bowers, he's an amazing tight end, 14 targets, 10 receptions, and 1 touchdown. He is a good tight end. He played for the Georgia Bulldogs, and I love what I see from him. And that's it. Chiefs win 11-1. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. Now we move on to the Sunday games at 1 o'clock. Starting off with my Atlanta Falcons losing to the Los Angeles Chargers 17-13 at home, coming off on a bye week. Man, as a Falcons fan, this one hurts a lot. We just came off the bye week. We're refreshed, we recharged, and we lose. Defense, you played your best. Okay, this was the best defense I've ever seen all season. Getting after the quarterback, turnovers, and the offense just sold. Kirk Cousins, count your days, my guy. 4 interceptions? Really? 4 interceptions. And all of those interceptions were unnecessary. It's just like, as soon as you hike the ball, you just threw the ball. It don't matter. Tight coverage, somebody could be wide open. It's just, you were just throwing the football out there. And one of those 4 interceptions ended up in a pick 6 at the end of the third quarter. I was like, why are we going for it on 4th and 5? Yes, I understand Koo is hurt, but I would have punted. Instead of winning for it on 4th and 5. And it's not like we're deep in our own territory. I mean, their territory. But like, the ball was like on the Chargers 45-yard line. What happens? They go for it. Kirk Cousins throw the pick 6. And that's how the Chargers won the game. The offense did not show up at all. Kirk Cousins wasn't there. Bijan Robinson, you showed up, okay? He was the offense yesterday. Not yesterday, but Sunday. Let's talk about the Chargers. The Chargers. The offense didn't even score a touchdown. And they won this game by defense. The Chargers defense won them the game, okay? And the Chargers are a very good team. They got a good offense, a very good defense, okay? I love what I've seen for the Chargers. The Chargers have a top 10 defense in the league. And by playoff time, this team could be scary in the AFC. I'll love to see what the Los Angeles Chargers do by playoff time. But that's it for the Chargers and Falcons. Falcons lose 17-13. Kirk Cousins, you need to get it together, okay? Because I thought about to start saying Michael Penix. Moving on to the next game, we got the Indianapolis Colts and the New England Patriots. Colts win 25-24 in New England. Let's talk about it. Anthony Richardson, good game. 12 for 24 for completion. Threw for 109 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Anthony Richardson also had a rushing touchdown too, which was very clutch. It was clutch. Anthony Richardson, I said this, he's not a bad quarterback. He just wasn't ready for the moment. Okay, and the Colts next game, they played the Denver Broncos, which is like a win in your end game. So if they beat the Broncos, I feel like they can make the playoffs as the 7th seed, even though they're not going to do nothing in the first round like the wild card. But I feel like the Colts could still make the playoffs. And for the Patriots, they played a great game. Drake May, he was amazing. 24 for 30 for completion, threw for 238 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Drake May is the future of New England. Okay, spectacular quarterback. I love the future in New England after Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Patriots fans, I understand y'all suck, but y'all should be happy with 6 Super Bowls, and I'm very happy for y'all about y'all future. And that's it. Colts win 25-24 and keep their playoff hopes alive. And the Colts won the game because they were down 24-17. Anthony Richardson drives the ball down the field. Touchdown Colts on 4th and goal, on 3rd and goal, whatever it was. And then Anthony Richardson ran it in for the 2-point conversion. Patriots tried a long field goal. Came up short. Colts win. Moving on to the next game, we got the Arizona Cardinals and the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings win 23-22 at home in Minnesota. Let's talk about it. This was a very good game. The Cardinals should have won this game. They were up 19-6. And then the Vikings came back and beat them. Let's look at the stats for Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, good game. 21 for 31 for completion, threw for 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Now let's talk about the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, 31 for 45 for completion, threw for 260 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. This was a good game overall. A lot of playoff implications. Cardinals trying to win the NFC West, and the Vikings are trying to keep in pace with the Detroit Lions to win the NFC North. So I love what I've seen for this game in general. Playoff atmosphere, you know what I'm saying? So I love what I'm saying. This could be a potential playoff matchup if the Cardinals win the division. And that's it. Vikings win 22 for 23. And both teams play well. Offense, defense, amazing for both teams. Moving on to the next game, we had the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Jets. Excuse me right there. Seahawks win 26 to 21 in New York against the Jets. Let's talk about it. Geno Smith, balling. Good game. 20 for 31 for completion, threw for 206 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. Seahawks are in first place in the NFC West. They are 7-5, and I feel like the Seattle Seahawks could win the division, but here's the thing. Sometimes they're inconsistent. Yes, the Seattle Seahawks are inconsistent sometimes. So if the Seattle Seahawks are consistent, they'll be a very good team by playoff time. And I do believe that the Seattle Seahawks will win the NFC West and make the playoffs. Hopefully they can win a playoff game too. So, but for the Jets, man, I don't know what to say about this team. I lost all hope. The Jets had high expectations for the season, making the playoffs, potentially winning the AFC East. But the Jets are back to being the sorry old Jets that we used to seeing. Aaron Rodgers, awful game. 21 for 39 for completion, threw for 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And we thought when Devontae Adams went over there, oh, the Jets season is still alive. But no. Everything just fell off a cliff. I don't know what happened with the Jets. They just might as well blow it up. All right, blow the team up. Okay, fire everybody after this season. Okay, because the New York Jets are one of the most povertiest franchises in the NFL. And that's it. Seahawks win 26 to 21. Moving on to the next game, we got a BTA alert. If you know what BTA means, you know I'm not going to say it on my own podcast, because I got subscribers and, but the Washington Commanders blow out the Tennessee Titans 42-19 at home. Jayden Daniels, good game. 25 for 30 for completion, threw for 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And he also had a rushing touchdown as well, too. And the Washington Commanders, bounce back game. They were on a losing streak, but I'm glad they found ways to win this game. Because if they would have lost, they might as well pack it up. Okay, but Washington with this win are very still alive for the playoffs. They hold that last playoff spot in the NFC, and I do believe Washington will get into the playoffs, but they're not going to do nothing though. Okay, I love Jayden Daniels. I love the offense, but the defense is all right though. The defense is okay, but I just love the offense. Jayden Daniels and Scary Terry, that is a dangerous quarterback and wide receiver duo. And for the Titans, ain't nothing much to say about this team. They suck. They're fighting for the draft. And keep the tank going. And that's it. Commanders win 42-19. Moving on to the next game, we have an AFC South showdown in Jacksonville between the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Texans win 23-20. Let's talk about it. As y'all know, the news from earlier, if y'all know when I talk about Trevor Lawrence got hit very hard, it was a necessary hit, and the player who got Trevor Lawrence is suspended for the next 3 games, and that was well deserved because that was a dirty play. I don't know what his name is, but they said his name, but I'm not gonna say it. But that was an awful hit. Okay, that was a non-football play. That suspension was well deserved, and hey, he got his punishment. But let's talk about this game in general. Both teams played well. The Houston Texans, great game. C.J. Stroud had a good game. The offense was good. The defense was great. And the Houston Texans, with that win, keeps their hopes of winning the AFC South alive. Because if they would have lost this game, the Colts are coming, okay? So I'm glad the Houston Texans got this win to keep pace in the AFC South because they're going to win the division, okay? They're going to win the division. They're going to make the playoffs. But obviously, though, they're first-round exits because they're either going to play the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Broncos, maybe Denver. So, yeah. So Houston is a first-round exit when they make the playoffs. But that's it. Texans win 23-20. Jags officially eliminated from playoff contention. Ain't nothing much to say about them. They're officially tanking, and Doug Peterson should be fired. Okay, why isn't he fired? Y'all just gonna let the season play out to see how it goes? Why? This thing about teams, when you know the coach should be fired, why wait till the rest of the season to see how it play out and then fire him when the season is over? Like, but hey, it is what it is. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers defeating the Cincinnati Bengals. Steelers win 44-38 in Cincinnati. Mr. Unlimited, good game. 29 for 38 for completion, threw for 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a Super Bowl contender, in the AFC. Yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers are Super Bowl contenders in the AFC. Okay, the offense, Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited, he is him. George Pickens, that dude is a stud. Very good offense. Defense, phenomenal. T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter Jr., Bishop. Shoot, I know a lot of those guys on the Steelers defense because that is a very good defense. The Steelers got the best defense in the AFC. Now let's talk about the Bengals. Joe Burrow, 28 for 38 for completion, threw for 309 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Bengals, y'all don't know what defense is? Because the defense for the Bengals was awful. Okay, like, where was the defense? 44 points? That's how you can tell no defense was being played. But the Steelers played defense, and they scored some touchdowns off of defense, too. Like fumble recoveries, pick sixes. The Steelers are going to win the division. After what I seen yesterday from the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to win the AFC North, okay? They're going to get a home playoff game in Pittsburgh, which is going to go crazy, which is going to be crazy because the Steelers, when was the last time they had a home playoff game? Like 2017 when they hosted the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm talking about when they had fans. Last time they won the division was in 2020, but they didn't have no fans because of COVID. But that's it for Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Steelers win 44-38. Now we move on to the 4 o'clock games. We got the Los Angeles Rams and the New Orleans Saints. That's our first game we're going to. Rams win 21-14 in New Orleans, keeping their playoff hopes alive. Let's talk about it. This was more of a defensive game. Both defenses played well. Offense was a little shaky for both teams, but the Rams are a very good team with Matthew Stafford and those healthy receivers in Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Matthew Stafford had a good game. 14 for 24 for completion, threw for 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Kyren Williams, he had a touchdown. The Rams scored 3 touchdowns, 2 from Stafford and 1 from Kyren Williams. And for the Saints, Derek Carr, he had an okay game. 24 for 37 for completion, threw for 184 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. Ain't nothing much to say about the Saints. They're in our division. They are our division rivals. And they're not going to win the division, so I didn't really have nothing much to say about this game, so I just went over the stats. But the Rams could end up winning the division. They could end up getting a wild card spot, and by playoff time, I feel like this Rams team could be dangerous because they got a solid defense and a solid offense. Moving on to the next game, we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens. Eagles win 24-19 in Baltimore, Battle of the Birds. People had this as a potential Super Bowl preview. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Eagles first. Jalen Hurts, good game. 11 for 19 for completion, threw for 118 yards, 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions. Saquon Barkley, he had a touchdown. Jalen Hurts also had a rushing touchdown as well, too. Dallas Goedert, he had a touchdown for the Eagles. The offense for Philadelphia is elite. The defense, phenomenal. Jalen Carter, he is an elite defensive lineman. And the Eagles, to me, are the biggest threats to the Detroit Lions. They are a top 5 team in the NFL. And I feel like the Eagles could beat the Lions in the NFC Championship game because we all know that the NFC Championship game is going to be between the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's going to be a good one. It's going to be absolute cinema. I'm going to have some popcorn, okay? I'm going to have a large popcorn watching that game, okay? But the Eagles, they play well, and they pretty much lock up the NFC East. Looking at their remaining schedule, they got the Panthers, the Steelers, the Giants, the Cowboys one more time. Yeah, Eagles got the division. They're NFC East champions, and they're going to get a home playoff game in Philly. Now let's talk about the Ravens. And before I talk about the way they play, let me point this out to y'all. Y'all know the kicker, Justin Tucker. Yeah, the guy that used to be the best kicker in the league. That dude is washed, okay? Justin Tucker is washed now, okay? Who is the best kicker in the league now? Shoot, I don't know because these kickers in the league have been trashed this year. I'm talking about like our kicker, Younghoe Koo. He's been up and down. Justin Tucker, that dude is washed. Ain't no telling who the best kicker in the league is because kickers suck this year. But let's talk about the Ravens. Lamar Jackson had a poorly game. 23 for 36 for completion, threw for 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Mark Andrews had a touchdown, and Isaiah Likely had a touchdown. If Justin Tucker made those kicks, Justin Tucker also missed the extra point, which would have put him up 10-0. Like, Tucker can't even make an extra point? This dude used to be the best kicker in the league. I don't know what the hell happened. Excuse my language there, but geez, what happened? Looking at his stats, 2 for 4 for field goals, and his longest was 50. And he made 1 out of 2 extra points. So if Tucker would have made those kicks, the Ravens would have won the game. And the Ravens, this was a must-win game for Baltimore if they're trying to win the division. But after that game, you technically give the Pittsburgh Steelers the division. Yes, the Ravens lost, gave the Steelers the AFC North. You know what the Ravens did? They was like, here, Steelers, y'all can win the division this year. And it's crazy because they might have to play the Steelers in the playoffs, in the wild card. So we'll see how that goes. Moving on to the next game, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. Bucks win 26-23 in Carolina in overtime. NFC South showdown. Let's talk about it. Baker Mayfield, he had an okay game, but it wasn't a good game. He was solid, okay? 21 for 33 for completion, threw for 235 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Question, how did the Bucks win this game? Okay? How did they win this game? Okay? Because Panthers, they were down like, hold on. They tied it at 23, all right? They were down 20-16, okay? Bryce Young driving the ball down the field. Adam Thielen with a touchdown. 23-20 Panthers. They were 30 seconds away from winning the game. And if the Panthers would have won coming from a Falcons fan, that would have helped us a lot for the division, okay? Because we'll still have that 1-game lead over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the South. But now that we both have the same record, the Atlanta Falcons have to lock in now, okay? But now let's go back to the game. The Buccaneers, good game. The defense, the Buccaneers defense is really not that good, okay? But the offense is elite, though, okay? I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, and the defense is okay. But for the Panthers, though, Bryce Young, he had a good game. 26 for 46 for completion, threw for 298 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. Baker Mayfield, these are his stats. 21 for 33 for completion, threw for 235 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. We end up seeing Kyle Trask for like one drive, and then Baker Mayfield got in. He got hurt, and they came right back into the game and became Superman for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But let's go to overtime, okay? Buccaneers get the ball. They need a touchdown to win it. It's 4th down. They set up for a long field goal. The kicker misses it. Panthers get the ball. All they need now is a field goal to win the game. The Panthers are in field goal range. It all started out with that one-handed catch by Adam Thielen, which was amazing. And then what happens on the next play? Panthers give it to Hubbard, Chris Hubbard, whatever his name is. Fumbles the freaking football. Buccaneers recover. They drive down the field and kick the game-winning field goal. Bucks win. Hubbard, how did you fumble the ball? Okay, in your head, you should be thinking, all right, the Bucks got the ball first. They missed the field goal. We're in good shape to win the game. All right, just hold on to the ball. Okay, secure the ball really tight. Don't fumble it. Boom, you're good. But instead, you fumble the football, get the Buccaneers the football, and they won the game. You must have had Bucks money line. Okay, he had Bucks money line the way he fumbled the football. But that's it. Bucks win 26-23. And then we go to Sunday night with the Buffalo Bills destroying the San Francisco 49ers 35-10 home as the Buffalo Bills clinch the AFC East for the 5th consecutive season. The Bills own the division. Okay, they own the Patriots, they own the Dolphins, they own the Jets. Josh Allen should be the favorite to win MVP because, man, that dude is going off. I had the Buffalo Bills taking a step back this season, but I didn't know they were going to be this good. These Bulls are like a Super Bowl contender, and they could get the 1 seed. If the Buffalo Bills get the number 1 seed in the AFC, they could potentially make it to the Super Bowl. But can they beat the Chiefs, though, is the question. You got to beat the Chiefs in the AFC. And here's the thing, though. For all the teams in the AFC that are in the playoff hunt, making the playoffs, if you want to get to the Super Bowl, you got to beat the Kansas City Chiefs because they are the team to beat in the AFC. But let's talk about the stats for Josh Allen. Good game, 13 for 17 for completion, threw for 148 yards, 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. And he also had a rushing touchdown too. Well, one of them. Yes, it was one of them when he ran into the end zone. But the highlight of the game was when he threw it to Amari Cooper, and then he flipped it back to Josh Allen. He dives over the pylon, touchdown. I was like, man, that dude, Josh Allen is amazing. That's my guy. And for the 49ers, their season is pretty much over. This wasn't the season that we all expected for the 49ers. A lot of injuries. McCaffrey's back on IR. Season over for the 49ers. The team that just went to the Super Bowl last season and should have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs, but this hasn't been their season. But that's it. Bills win 35-10. And then last but not least, we go to Monday night, the game from last night between the Denver Broncos and the Cleveland Browns. Browns win 41-32 at home, keeping their playoff hopes alive at 8-5. Let's talk about it. At the end of the game, Browns down to 34-32. They need a field goal to win the game. Jameis Winston throws a pick six, and the Broncos win the game off of that. And Jameis Winston played pretty good, but those interceptions killed him. Looking at the stats, 34 for 58 for completion, threw for 497 yards. This boy almost threw for 500 yards, and they almost won the game. This dude went off. He went off. 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But those interceptions, Jameis Winston killed y'all. Because if you want to throw those interceptions, including those 2 pick sixes, y'all would have won the game. And if the Broncos would have lost, that would have helped the teams in the playoff hunt like the Colts and the Dolphins. But Broncos got the win. The Broncos defense is amazing. Bo Nix, spectacular quarterback. Favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Bo Nix is going to win Rookie of the Year. And that's it for the Browns and Broncos. Broncos win 41-32. Broncos played amazingly. Offense, defense. Browns played a great game too. I love when I see for both teams, but the Broncos got the win. And next but not least, we move on to my Week 14 NFL predictions. Week 14 of the NFL season kicks off Thursday night with the Green Bay Packers, right there, and the Detroit Lions. Thursday night football, an NFC North showdown in Detroit. This is going to be a fun one, okay? Packers trying to keep in pace with the Detroit Lions for the NFC North. I got this matchup as my NFC championship, okay? But Green Bay could still win this game. They can win this game now. I won't be surprised if the Packers win this game. But I'm rolling with the Detroit Lions because the Lions are on a roll right now. They're the best team in the league, best team in the division. The Lions, watch out for the Lions in the NFC because they're going to get the number 1 seed, and the road to the Super Bowl will go through Detroit. Moving on to the next game, the Sunday games, we got my Atlanta Falcons taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins revenge game. I'm so hyped about this one, but Kirk Cousins, if you can hear me, I need you to watch this right now, okay? I need you to go off, okay? I need the Kirk Cousins from Thursday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, how many touchdowns you threw, no interceptions, okay? I need you to lock in, okay? Because our season is on the line, okay? We cannot afford to lose this game, Falcons, all right? We need to lock in. Defense, carry the defense from last week into Minnesota. Offensive line, I need y'all to block. Kirk Cousins, do not throw no interceptions. But if you take some sacks, it's okay. But just don't turn the ball over. All right, that's all I'm asking for Kirk Cousins. Play a great game against his former team. This is your revenge game. Come into Minnesota. Take over your trap. Walk in your trap. Take over your trap. And let's get this done, man. I believe, man. The season ain't over. All right? Let's go, man. I got my Atlanta Falcons beating the Minnesota Vikings in a close game. Excuse me, my nose is itching. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles win this one very easy. We got the Raiders and the Bucks. Bucks are going to win. But I would love for the Raiders to win, though. I won't be surprised if the Las Vegas Raiders, man, my nose is itching, bro. But sorry about that, guys. But my nose is itching there. But the Buccaneers are going to win this game against the Raiders. But the Raiders are going to walk into this game with a chip on their shoulder because they should have beaten the Chiefs last week. So I got the Bucks beating the Raiders. Next up, we got the New York Jets taking on the Miami Dolphins, giving the Dolphins over the Jets. The Saints will beat the Giants. Ain't nothing much to say there. The Steelers will beat the Browns. But the Browns will keep it close, though. If the Browns sweep the Steelers this season, I will be surprised. Jaguars, Titans. And now we go to the 4 o'clock games. The first 4 o'clock game, Seahawks Cardinals. Good game. NFC West showdown. Battle for first place in the division. And I feel like whoever wins this game is most likely going to win the division. Okay? And I'm rolling with the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Seattle Seahawks in a very, very close game. Seattle won the first one in Seattle, so I feel like the Cardinals will get this one in Arizona. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Good game. Josh Allen versus Matthew Stafford. This is going to be very close. I expected this to be like a 27-24 type game. Give me the Bills over the Rams. Next up, we got the Chicago Bears versus the San Francisco 49ers. I got the 49ers beating the Bears. And then for Sunday night, we got the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to go with the Chargers, okay? I really do want to go with the Los Angeles Chargers to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. But the Chiefs, they always find ways to win games. But I got the Chiefs beating the Chargers, okay? Close game. But the Chargers, I won't be surprised, though, because the Chargers got a very good defense. I figure out they'll find ways to get after Patrick Mahomes and slow down their receivers and Travis Kelce. And then last but not least, we got Monday Night Football between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Dallas Cowboys, giving the Cowboys over the Bengals. Realistically, none of these teams aren't fighting for nothing, so yeah, the Cowboys are going to win. So I'm going to go over my Week 14 NFL predictions again. Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions, Thursday night, I got the Lions. Atlanta Falcons versus Minnesota Vikings, I got the Falcons. Carolina Panthers, Philadelphia Eagles. I got the Eagles. Las Vegas Raiders, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got the Bucks. Seattle Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals. I got the Arizona Cardinals. Chicago Bears, San Francisco 49ers. I got the 49ers. Jets Dolphins. I got the Dolphins. Saints Giants. I got the Saints. Browns Steelers. I got the Steelers. Jags Titans. I got the Titans. Bills Rams. I got the Bills. Chargers Chiefs. I got the Chiefs. And then Monday night, I got the Cowboys beating the Bengals. And that concludes my Week 14 NFL predictions. And before I go, I would like to talk about where things stand in the NFL, like playoff picture, standings, and stuff like that. And I'm going to start off with the playoff picture. And I'm going to start off in the AFC because that playoff race is wild. Battle for the number 1 seed. We got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, both fighting out for that number 1 seed. The Bills could get the number 1 seed because they got an easy schedule coming down the path, but the only tough game is against Detroit. And the Chiefs, I feel like whoever gets the 1 seed in the AFC is most likely going to go to the Super Bowl. So at the number 1 seed, you got Kansas City at 11-1. They keep finding ways to win games. They got Patrick Mahomes. They got Travis Kelce. They got Andy Reid. They're the New England Patriots of the NFL. But the question is, who is going to beat this team by playoff time? Because we all know when the playoffs are at Arrowhead, it is very hard to play there. At number 2, we got the Buffalo Bills. They just clinched the AFC East, and the Chiefs just clinched the playoff spot. And they're going to win the division because they own that division. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen playing like an MVP. The receivers are elite. The defense is amazing. The Buffalo Bills, I would love for this team to get the 1 seed. And if they do get the 1 seed, they are going to make it to the Super Bowl. All right. And I'm looking at both of these teams' remaining schedules. I think the Chiefs are going to get the number 1 seed because they got the much easier schedule. But if the Chiefs lose at least 2 games, which they could, hey, the playoffs in the AFC could be a problem. At number 3, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9-3. They are Super Bowl contenders. Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited, is him. The offense, amazing. Defense, one of the best defenses in the NFL. Okay? TJ Watt is the Steelers defense because if the Steelers don't have TJ Watt, where would the Steelers defense be? At number 4, you got the Houston Texans at 8-5. They're going to win the AFC South, but their next 3 games are very brutal. Okay, and if they lose their next 3 games and the Colts win their next 3, the Colts are going to be in first place in the AFC South. All right. So Texans, you got to win one of those next 3 games if you want to win the division and make the playoffs. And if they do win those next tough 3 games, they're most likely going to win the division. At number 5, you got the Los Angeles Chargers. I love when I see for Coach Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, that defense is amazing. And the Chargers, by playoff time, could be very dangerous. They could upset somebody. I feel like if they play the Bills, they could upset them. If they play the Steelers, they could upset them. If they play the Chiefs, I feel like the Chargers could upset them because the Chargers defense is amazing. At number 6, we got the Baltimore Ravens at 8-5. Still trying to win the AFC North, but the Ravens are most likely going to be a wild card team. They're either going to be the 5 seed or the 6 seed. And their potential first-round matchups are going to be the Steelers or the Texans. And then at number 7, the Denver Broncos, 8-5. After that win last night, puts them pretty much closer to the playoffs, but not quite into the playoffs. And then we talk about the race for that last playoff spot because when you look at the Chiefs, they're already in. The Bills are going to make it. The Steelers, they're going to make it. Houston, kind of questionable, depending on the Colts and the way they play the next 3 games. But the Chargers, they're making the playoffs. The Ravens, they're going to make the playoffs. But it all comes down between the AFC South, between the Texans or the Colts, and the last wild card spot between the Broncos, Colts, and Dolphins. And looking at these teams' remaining schedules, the Broncos at the 7th seed, they got a bye week. But coming from the bye week, they got the Colts, the Chargers, the Bengals, and then the Chiefs. All of those are playoff implication games for Denver Broncos. And I feel like if the Broncos win at least 1 game, they're going to make the playoffs. But it all starts coming back from the bye week against the Colts, who is also trying to make the playoffs as well, too. And that is going to be a very good game. Colts, here's their remaining schedule. They got Broncos, Titans, Giants, Jaguars. Easy winnable schedule. If they can win out 10-7, I feel like they can make the playoffs. But that game between the Colts and the Broncos is going to determine who gets that final playoff spot. And for the Dolphins, 5-7, they got to win out, what I believe they could. They got the Jets, the Texans, the 49ers, the Browns, and the Jets. They could win out 10-7 and still get that final wild card spot. But to me, this is my final AFC wild card spots, okay? Chiefs, the 1 seed. Bills, the 2 seed. Well, actually, though, I changed my mind. I got the Bills being the 1 seed, the Chiefs, the 2 seed, the Steelers, the 3 seed, the Texans, the 4 seed, Ravens at 5, Chargers at 6, and Broncos at 7. So I do believe that the Denver Broncos will get that final playoff spot in the AFC. Now we move on to the NFC side. We got the Detroit Lions at the 1 seed, best team in the NFL, best team in the conference, best team in the division. The road to the NFC is going to go through Detroit. And if you want to get to the Super Bowl, you got to play those almighty Lions. Okay? Dan Campbell, I like him as a coach. Jared Goff, he is amazing. They got the best running back duo in the league between Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Like, the Lions aren't going to get the 1 seed. And they're battling it out with the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's the question. Who is going to get the number 1 seed in the AFC? Let's look at their remaining schedule. Starting off with the Lions. They got the Packers Thursday night. They got the Bills. Potential Super Bowl preview. They got the Bears. They got the 49ers. And they got the Vikings. Eagles. This is who they got left. Panthers, Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants. To me, I feel like the Eagles are going to win out. So if the Eagles win out, the Lions can't afford to lose 2 games, okay? Because if the road to the NFC goes through Philly, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. And I feel like the 1 seed is going to come between Detroit and Philly. Whoever gets that 1 seed is most likely going to come out the conference and make it to the Super Bowl. But it doesn't matter where they play or who's the home team. I feel like that game's going to go either way. And the Lions or Eagles are going to come out with the win. The 3 seed, we got the Seattle Seahawks. They're leading the NFC West right now. Geno Smith is balling. The offense is good. The defense is good. New coaching over there. I love what I'm seeing from him so far. And the Seattle Seahawks, if they win this game this weekend against the Cardinals, they're going to win the NFC West. At number 4, we got my Atlanta Falcons leading the NFC South. Our remaining games, Vikings this Sunday. We got the Raiders, the Giants, the Commanders, and the Panthers. We have most likely, we got to win out, okay? Finish 11-6 or 10-7 to win the division, okay? Because Tampa Bay's remaining schedule is, I'm not going to say cakewalk, but like they got the Raiders this Sunday, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Panthers, and then the Saints. The Bucs could lose a couple of those games. So Falcons, we got to lock in. All right, I still believe in my team. I still believe in Kirk Cousins. We just got to rise up, fight to the end. After that Sunday's loss to the Chargers, it's now or never. All right, so we just got to lock in. Raheem Morris, you got to get you guys together. At the 5 seed, we got the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold playing in the league. They're trying to keep in contention with the Detroit Lions to win the NFC North. And the Vikings are not a playoff team. Let's go ahead and get that out the way. The Vikings are not a playoff team. If they're going to make the playoffs, and they get sent home, okay? The Vikings are just not that good, okay? It don't matter. All the talent they got, it don't matter who's their quarterback. The Vikings are not a playoff team, guys, okay? And we've seen it since the Minneapolis Miracle. As soon as they, like, for the Vikings, as soon as they win one huge playoff game like they're not supposed to win, they get blown out in the second round. Packers, 9-3. Jordan Love, amazing. Josh Jacobs, amazing running back. The defense is solid over there. This team could end up making the NFC Championship game against the Detroit Lions. And the Packers and Lions, they don't even have to play in the NFC Championship game. They could play in the divisional round. And I still believe that the Packers could upset the Lions. So my potential NFC Championship matchups, number 1, Detroit and Philly. Number 2, Detroit and Green Bay, or Green Bay and Philadelphia. That could be a good one. But my potential NFC Championship game, I have Detroit and Green Bay, but the way it's playing out, it's going to be Detroit and Philly. The 7th seed, you got the Washington Commanders at 8-5. They're going to make the playoffs, but at first they were in contention to win the NFC East, but that belongs to the Eagles. But the Commanders, though, they're not a bad team, though. Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. Scary Terry is an elite wide receiver. But the defense has questions, though. The defense is not bad, but it needs some work. And the Commanders, when they make the playoffs, I won't be surprised if they win a playoff game, okay? Because Jaden Daniels is an amazing quarterback. And then teams in the hunt, you got the Buccaneers, the Cardinals, the Rams. All those teams trying to make the playoffs or win the division. And Washington holds that last wild card spot in the NFC. They got the Saints, the Eagles, the Falcons, and the Cowboys, which I believe that the Commanders will win at least 2 more games to finish 10-7 and get that wild card spot. So these are the top 7 seeds in the NFC: Detroit, Philly, Seattle, Atlanta, Minnesota, Green Bay, and Washington. And those are my final NFC wildcard, and not wildcard, NFC playoff seedings. Detroit at 1, Philly at 2, Seattle at 3, Atlanta at 4, Minnesota at 5, Green Bay at 6. Well, actually, I got Green Bay at 5, Minnesota at 6, and then Washington at 7. That playoff race for the NFC is going to be fun to watch. And I'm praying that my Atlanta Falcons could win this division and make the playoffs, because I want to see my team in the playoffs. We haven't made the playoffs since 2017. Okay, and having a playoff game at home inside our new stadium, this will be the first time having a playoff game inside the new stadium. It is going to be lit in there. And that's it. That concludes today's show on the Now Report. Thank you for everybody that joined. I appreciate all the love and support. New episodes every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. If you haven't, make sure to sub to the YouTube. Make sure to click that bell to receive all the notifications on when I'm going live and when I post. And make sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms at D_NAR_report, Instagram, and TikTok. And that concludes today's show. Have a good rest of your day. NAR out.